strategy I chose was the four corners strategy for formative assessment. The history I found on Four Corners, the furthest article back that I could find was from 2006. So each corner in the classroom would stand for something. So one corner was agree, one was strongly agree, one was disagree, and one would be strongly disagree. The students would be asked questions or to figure out a problem, and they'd have to stand in the corner of which room they thought was correct. So whichever answer they agreed with or didn't agree with, they would have to go stand there. The theoretical perspective for Four Corners was social constructivism. The main theorist for this, for Four Corners, was Vygotsky. John Dewey was a big role in the philosophy, but Vygotsky was a big role in the social constructivism part of it. Four Corners is social constructivism because of the collaboration and how many students learn in these forms of collaborations working together. So they don't just have their own knowledge, they're working with a group, and so they're gaining extra knowledge from all the other people that they're working with. A quote that I found while I was researching this was, as long as there were people asking each other questions, we have had constructivist classrooms. Constructivism, the study of learning, is about how we all make sense of our world, and that really hasn't changed. From Brooks of 1999. So how I could apply this in a classroom. So Four Corners can be applied in many ways. It can be used for all subjects, just the way it is applied would be different. So it could be applied for like multiple choice, so answering questions. So instead of doing a strongly agree, strongly disagree, and etc., they could do A, B, C, D for each of the corners. Another way it could be used is if they do the agree or disagree, or they could do more of like a true or false. So they could, instead of doing the four corners, they could do like a half and half. So on one side they agree, one side they disagree, and then in the middle they could stand where they're either neutral or they're not sure, and then we can figure out how we can answer the question and make it right. So the neutral people have a place to go. Some examples that I would have for my classroom, for like a vocabulary, I could call off the word, and each corner could have a different definition to go, and so then the students would pick the best answer and stand in that corner. For math, I could do like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division for each corner. It kind of just depends on the grade level that I go with as well. These subject ideas, each corner would be labeled off as A, B, C, D. Then they could hear the correct answer. They could go stand where they think is correct when they hear the answer that they think. It'd be a good formative assessment for before and after to see how much they learned. So in the corner they stood in at the beginning to the end, it may be more likely to remember a corner versus an A, B, C, D setting. So if there is another adult in the room, they could collect the data and where the student stood at the beginning of the lesson, towards the end of the lesson, how much they've learned, the way I could score it. So formative assessment is generally not what scoring is about. So considering that most times a formative assessment provides information to the teacher on where the student is on, like where they are for the focused content. So students could find themselves, like they could score themselves based on what they know. So just being honest with themselves and figuring out what they know and what they need to focus on. I feel like a big way to score them would be their participation and how hard they tried going on their own thoughts versus just kind of following the crowd. So what they really know. I think participation is really the only way I could grade in the four square or the four corner. And here are my references.